Senator Durbin just exposed what might be the most damaging contradiction of Pam Bondi's confirmation hearing. She publicly claimed the Epstein client list was sitting on my desk right now for review, then produced nothing. When pressed about ordering the FBI to flag Trump-related Epstein records, Bondi refused. This isn't just evasion. It's a potential cover-up that could derail her entire nomination.
Your city has a murder rate 5 times higher than New York's. 571 homicides last year. If you were serious about protecting your people, you would be asking this administration for help. You're saying that we're coming into your state and your city. We're there to help make America safe and Illinois safe, whether or not you want to.
I believe cutting federal grant programs to law enforcement in my state and across the nation does not make us any safer, and you've done just that. You've supplanted that decision by sending in National Guard troops to California and other places. That is a situation where the governors have not asked for that help. If you truly wanted to do this on a bipartisan basis, you wouldn't defy a governor, you would work with them. I'm prepared to do that. I'm prepared to work with this administration. But cutting these grants to law enforcement does not make us any stronger as a nation or give us the tools we need to reduce crime in Chicago. Now, I'd just like to ask you, when it came to this Cutter situation, did you consult with the ethics office in the Department of Justice before making your decision on this gift of a jet?
Chairman, I didn't gift a jet to anyone. My Office of Legal Counsel provides confidential advice to the President, to the White House, period. And you're conflating two issues. Cutting grants, I was very clear about what grants we've cut and what grants we haven't, only 7%. And if you have a grant in Illinois that you think that I've cut that is protecting law enforcement officers or your people, you personally call me and I will work with you to turn that grant back on. I think many of the Democrats here can tell you, I have worked with them to turn grants back on. There's an appeal process. Tell me a specific grant that I have turned off in Illinois that would help law enforcement, and I will work with you. But you have not done that.
Did you take a look?
The National Guard is on the way right now as we speak. Oh, by the way, so is Director Patel and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. You're sitting here grilling me, and they're on their way to Chicago to keep your state safe.
Madam Attorney General, it's my job to grill you. Investigation of your agency is part of my responsibility and this committee. You may not like the experience, but others have weathered the storm and answered questions in a respectful manner.
Can you tell me the grants,
yes.
Ranking Member, please?
Take a look at the President's budget on HIDA grants. What happens to it in his proposed budget?
I'd be glad to meet with you on the grants.
It's cut by 1/3 from $300 million to $196. That's one example of a grant that works, and your administration has suggested cutting it in the budget lies ahead. I want to ask you about items in a letter I sent you in July that you have not answered. In February, you made a public claim that the Epstein client list was, quote, sitting on my desk right now for review, end of quote. You then produced already public information and no client list at a major media event hosted at the White House. Attorney General Bondi, why did you publicly claim to have the Epstein client list waiting for your review and then produce nothing relevant to that claim?
Senator Durbin, if you listen to my entire clip on that, I said I had not reviewed it yet, that it was sitting on my desk along with the JFK files, the Martin Luther King files, and I said I had not yet reviewed it. And if you see our memo on Epstein, you will see, excuse me, our memo on Epstein clearly points out that there was no client list, our July 6th memo. You also didn't let me respond to the HIDA question. The budget transfers $196 million for high-intensity drug trafficking areas to the Office of Justice Programs, OJP. The Justice Department will continue to administer those grants under OJP in 2026.
Going back to the Epstein files, according to another whistleblower who made a protected disclosure to my office, you pushed the FBI to review approximately 100,000 Epstein-related records, on an arbitrarily short deadline in March, and the FBI was directed to flag any documents that mentioned President Trump. Nothing came of that review until July, when DOJ and FBI released an unsigned memo stating, quote, "There's no incriminating client list." Why was the July 7th memo unsigned?
The July 7th memo came from the FBI and the Department of Justice. Director Patel answered those questions very clear. And, you know, Senator Durbin, I find it very interesting that you refused repeated Republican requests to release the Epstein flight logs in 2023 and 2024. You fought that. Did you take money from Reid Hoffman, campaign donations,
Never
who was a
heard.
huge Epstein friend? Why did you fight for years? Why did you fight to not disclose the flight logs, Senator Durbin?
I can tell you I did not refuse. One of the senators here wished to produce those logs, and I asked her to put it in writing, and she never did.
Yeah, I think Senator Blackburn would quarrel with you on that. But
Well,
that's
I will
up to the
quarrel
two
with
of
you as to Reid, somebody that you mentioned I never heard of.
Reid Hoffman.
So who gave the order to flag records related to President Trump?
To flag records for President Trump?
To flag any records which included his name.
I'm not going to discuss anything about that with you, Senator.
Eventually, you're going to have to answer for your conduct in this. And you won't do it today, but eventually you will. I yield, Mr. Chairman.
I gotta
Mr.
interject
Chairman?
something here.
Mr.
before I
Chairman.
get to Pam.
Mr. Chairman, since Senator Durbin referred to me, I would really appreciate the opportunity to correct the record.
Proceed.
Because Senator Durbin knows I repeatedly asked for those flight logs. I brought up the subpoena. You even shut down the committee because you didn't want that, and you know I submitted that in writing, and you continue to misrepresent that, and I am not going to let that record stand.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
go ahead, Senator Durbin.
I just want to make it clear that the reason the committee business ended was that your side invoked the 2-hour rule. Point number 2 is I asked you if you wanted any documents like flight logs to put it in writing. You never did.
Yes, sir, I did, and your staff knows that I did. We'll submit, once again,
Send me a copy
the
of that, please.
information to you. We've done that several times, but we'll be happy to, once again, send it to you. I think your staff doesn't show that to you.
What Senator Durbin accomplished in this exchange wasn't just political theater, it was a methodical exposure of how institutional accountability breaks down when officials prioritize political protection over transparency. The moment Bondi claimed the Epstein client list was sitting on my desk right now for review in February, then produced nothing substantive, she created a credibility gap that Durbin exploited with surgical precision. The legal mechanics here matter more than the political optics. When an attorney general makes public claims about reviewing sensitive materials, especially those involving potential criminal conduct, there's an expectation of follow-through. Bondi's explanation that she had not reviewed it yet contradicts her original statement's implication of active examination. This isn't semantic hair-splitting. It's about whether the nation's top law enforcement officer can be trusted to give accurate information about ongoing investigations. Durbin's revelation about FBI records being flagged for Trump's name exposes a deeper structural problem. If the Attorney General ordered a targeted review of 100,000 Epstein documents specifically to identify mentions of the president, that suggests investigation priorities driven by political considerations rather than standard prosecutorial judgment. When Bondi refused to answer who gave that order, she essentially confirmed that such targeting occurred while protecting whoever authorized it. The unsigned memo claiming no incriminating client list becomes more significant in this context. Unsigned memos lack accountability. There's no official taking responsibility for the conclusion. For such a high-profile matter involving potential criminal networks, the absence of signature suggests either institutional cowardice or deliberate obfuscation. Either interpretation undermines public confidence in DOJ independence. Beyond the procedural concerns, this exchange reveals how political loyalty can corrupt investigative processes. Career FBI agents reviewing Epstein materials under arbitrary deadlines, with explicit instructions to flag specific names, are no longer conducting impartial investigations. They're performing political vetting. That transformation from law enforcement to political service happens gradually through seemingly reasonable requests that accumulate into institutional capture. The broader implications extend to every American who expects equal justice. If the Attorney General can publicly claim to possess evidence, then pivot to claiming no such evidence exists. While refusing to explain the contradiction, we've moved from law enforcement to political management. Durbin's questioning wasn't about partisan advantage. It was about whether our justice system will remain independent or become another tool of presidential protection. Democracy requires institutions strong enough to investigate power, transparent enough to explain their actions, and accountable enough to face consequences for failures. Bondi's evasions suggest an attorney general more committed to political survival than institutional integrity.